Hi, everybody. Welcome to Through the Noise, how artists get discovered in the attention economy. Before we get started, if you guys have any questions for any of the three of us, submit them in the app now, and the last 10 minutes we'll answer a couple of your guys' questions. So get those questions in just periodically if you guys have them. Okay. So I guess to start, maybe let's do some intros. I can go first. I'm Xander Zellner. I'm a senior charts and data analyst at Billboard. My responsibilities are creating a lot of Billboard's weekly music charts. My emphasis is on songwriters and producers, also dance and electronic. In addition to that, I am a social manager, so managing Billboard's charts presence on Instagram and Twitter and various other places, and creating content for artists. So, yeah, that's me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hunter Evans. I'm an A&R at RCA Records. And what I do essentially is connect the dots. So I am putting artists in sessions with producers or writers to kind of further develop their sound and their vision. And I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I actually attended OU back in the day, and I graduated in 2020 from the College of Business, and I'm excited to be back.
Hey everyone, my name is Abby. I'm from Florida. I went to FGCU for undergrad, and I got my master's, so did Hunter, from University of Miami. I'm currently at Columbia Records, also in the A&R department, so kind of do the same thing that Hunter does. But I got my start I worked at my on-campus radio station, so that's kind of how I got started, and then I interned at a local recording studio, and then once I moved to Miami, I worked at another recording studio, and then I moved to New York, and I now work in A&R.
Awesome.
Yay.
All right. So let's dive in. So I think the three of us obviously listen to a lot of music for our jobs and all different types, and we discover a lot of new artists and songs. But I feel like the three of us approach music discovery from different perspectives, right? Like for me, a lot of my discovery comes from scanning the Billboard charts, obviously. I take kind of a data-first approach to it. You know, I'm always curious what's bubbling up and what songs are seeing streaming spikes and what's going on down at number 100 with these new artists and songs. But I feel like it's a little different for you guys. Like, how do you typically listen to music and discover new artists each week?
Yeah, I mean, I typically discover artists across the board. I feel like there's no, one way of entry to find new artists. So it could be Reddit, it could be Twitter, it could be, building a TikTok algorithm just strictly for music. It could be Reels. There are so many opportunities to find music, and even live shows. Those are still a thing. And I feel like there's a lot of great emerging acts that are coming out that focus on the live component rather than their social media presence first. And yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree too. I feel like I'm definitely kind of a in the culture type person that kind of finds stuff, especially in New York. There's such a big music scene, but that doesn't even go to show you have to be in New York, you have to be in LA. I think there's music scenes in every different city, which I think is so cool. So kind of just seeing, artists that are maybe working with this artist, and it just all is a full circle because everyone's just works together, and I think it's so cool. I also love me a good TikTok, so I feel like that's also something fun for me too.
But it probably also helps if those artists are active on those platforms too, right? Not everybody, or not every artist is making TikToks, right? So
yeah.
People like that, are just finding them on Spotify or doing rabbit holes like that?
Yeah, literally if I see an artist live, or even if I find their Spotify and I go to their Instagram and there's 3 pictures, I'm come on, man, so yeah, I think that's another rabbit hole for sure.
Yeah, and it probably helps to have certain, recommendations from artists and even other colleagues too, and just ask around what are you guys listening to and things like that. Do you get that from people you work with and even from talking to other artists too?
Yeah, I mean, especially at the labels, I feel we may be in A&R, but I feel everyone that works at the label, obviously we all love music, so I think it's cool to even talk to your coworkers, because they also have really good taste, and also me and Hunter were friends because we have good music taste. So it's fun to just talk to everyone kind of about, what they're listening and stuff.
Are there certain genres that you guys are more interested in listening to or like discovering, or do you kind of listen to everything across the board?
I personally listen to everything across the board. I feel like there's nothing off limits, and I feel like as an A&R person, music has become a lot more global, as well as I feel like there's a lot of artists that are, genre bending, and like they're not going to sit in one pocket. So I feel like it's always best to be open about what you're listening to and really appreciate kind of the roots of where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of listen to one or more, one or less. But if it's a good song, it's a good song.
I totally agree. I feel like there's good songs in every genre. Like I remember when I was in high school, people would be like, I love every genre except country or something. And I'm like, no, you're not listening to enough country then. There's great stuff in every genre, right?
Yeah.
Hunter, I know that you've worked with Ty Myers a lot too, which I think is like a great example of like, an artist that you kind of helped discover and break through. Like for me, I heard about him because his song "Ends of the Earth" was, getting work to country radio and things like that. And so, but you'd been working with him for weeks before that, and I think he's like 17 years old, and he was like writing music in his bedroom. But now he's like, a big hit maker. He's like on the charts and he's touring. How did you first learn about him and get him to sign a major label deal?
I first found Ty Myers on TikTok, and going back to like music discovery, there's a lot of music curators, specifically in the country space. So I found him through there, and like I feel like the context around him was super organic. And yeah, I mean, Ty is 17. He's writing these really mature songs about love and relationships and growth, and I feel like that's very hard to find. It was super compelling. But yeah, he had a song, I think it was the first song that popped off was Tie That Binds, and that's how he came up on my radar.
Was there something about like even his attitude, even just at like 17, that like made him seem special and different from other young songwriters and things like that?
Yeah, I feel like typically in the country space, I feel like everybody leans towards Nashville and like that sound, but he's, Texas country. There's like a sonic component to it that he's really resonating with from kind of his traditional roots. And then also, like I said, his storytelling is super unique, and he has a really soulful delivery in his music. And I think that comes with kind of some of his influences, like John Mayer, and like you can definitely hear that in his music. And yeah.
It probably also helped that he was active on TikTok already and like putting his music out there and sharing it with his friends and trying to develop an audience beforehand, right? Like, how many followers did he have before you even signed him? He was probably not very many, right?
Yeah, I don't recall how many followers on TikTok, but I know like when I first found him, I think he had 1.5K followers on Instagram, and now he's over, I think, 330,000, which is just a testament to how great his music is and kind of his whole proposition in itself. And yeah, I mean, I feel like he's just really has an organic conversation around him. He's drawing comparisons to like some of the greatest, country singer-songwriter acts of our generation, like Morgan Wallen, like Treaty Oak Revival, Old 60s, stuff like that. So like, he's just really, really great.
Yeah, and it's probably so satisfying as well to like see that growth just after you started working with him, right? And kind of to be like, God, I was right. Like this guy is amazing, and now everybody else is seeing that as well, right?
Yeah, I think what also was like a clear indicator, obviously like he was growing his community on both, TikTok and Instagram, but also like he was doing live shows at 16, 17 years old. He also had 2 songs that kind of blew up, so Tie That Binds, and then I think maybe like a year later it was Drinking Alone, and yeah, it was just really great storytelling, like I said.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Abby, for you, I know you've worked with like people like Joey Badass and like Polo G, like artists who've like been established a little bit and weren't like unknowns when you started working with them. Mm-hmm. But like, I think when we talk about like music discovery, like it's also important to try to, keep their fans interested that were interested in them like 10 years ago, mm-hmm. and keep them around for their new songs and new projects that they're doing. Like, so tell me about that a little bit. Like, how did you keep their old fans interested in these artists' new projects and kind of build on that interest?
Yeah, I think Joey, love that man. But I think it's definitely something that goes along with like a lot of things, but like he hadn't dropped music in like a really, really long time. And I think that kind of like built some sort of like anticipation, at least on his end. And like same for Polo, you know, it's been a while, but I think it goes back to like the community aspect that even Hunter was touching on. And I feel like even like once you're starting and once you get up to a point of being like, you know, a Joey Badass or like a Polo G, like it's because they had a community like early on that they worked on building. And so I think that's super important to keep like the fans in mind. And I think even now that they're going forward with new music and, you know, bringing back their fans, it's important to kind of, you know, remember those that were there like since the beginning and stuff.
Yeah, but also like even the industry as a whole is like totally different now than it was when those artists were starting off, right? So like TikTok wasn't even like a thing. Like, did you have to get, you know, Polo G and Joey Badass like on like making TikToks or like promoting it on Instagram or these other places, or?
Yeah, I feel like for them like specifically, I think that's kind of more at least like what our, because we have like digital teams, we have like marketing teams, so I think it's more of like, you know, making sure and like telling them that we're gonna like push something out there. So I mean, if they want to make a TikTok, like they can. Even like sometimes with Central C, I feel like he's been posting a lot more too. So I think it's just goes back to the point of like this industry is ever changing. So yeah, you know, they're like OGs forever, but I think even us as like professionals and even as artists, like you kind of have to change and move with the industry because something new is happening every day. There could be a new app tomorrow, and you know, you better start posting.
Well, that's so true, right? You have to evolve with the industry, right? If you want to like stay relevant and like continue doing it, you have to like move along with it. So I know even for Joey, like he even had, like on his, I think his most recent album, he had a lot of like big collaborations on there too. Like he worked with Offset and like Lil Durk and the Kid Laroi, like young artists who are like really huge now. Like, was that a part of that strategy to as well, was to like get him in the studio with these big rappers to, you know, maybe be like, if you're a fan of Offset, then like check out Joey's new album or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think with that, I mean, Joey and any artist, you know, it's cool to like, you know, do music with like your friends and stuff, but also at least for like A&Rs, part of it is kind of like pairing artists that we think might, you know, sound well together. So I think that was always something that we look to do. But yeah, it kind of just depends.
So for pairing those artists, like were they acquainted at all or friends beforehand, or did you have to like make that introduction and be like, you know?
Yeah. So I personally didn't make any plays on that, but I think it goes back to, you know, if they are like, oh, like most of the time, sometimes it's like, yo, I was like DMing with Offset like the other day, you know, we're in the studio, and then like 5 hours later you get like a text and like, you know, the song is like in your messages and stuff. So I think a lot of it too is sometimes it's planned, but sometimes it's not. Like a lot of these, you know, artists, they are like at these parties, they're like in these big cities, and sometimes it's literally just like running into them, and then it's like, yo, I'm in the studio later, like you're gonna pull up, and then, you know, bada bing, bada boom, you have these two great artists making a great song.
Yeah, it's just crazy. There's so many different ways that like, you know, people are getting noticed, and like this, how they're, you know, trying to, you know, stay relevant and like get in front of different people. Like even like for me, like I noticed there's this one rapper, Jello, like G3. I don't know if anyone knows LiAngelo Ball. You know, the Ball brother. Yeah, Tweaker. It's great. It's like #1 at Rhythmic this week. But like that song like blew up. He was not like a rapper beforehand, but like that song blew up because he like teased it on a live stream with like this one big streamer. I think it was on Kick is what it's called, which I haven't even used, but that really worked because like there's a big audience there, right? And I don't know, it seems like that's a big strategy. It's like finding where there are people hanging out and like getting people interested in music. Like, have you found any other communities like that you know, people are trying to promote their music or things like that? It could be Reddit or.
I mean, I feel like Twitch is like a big thing now. Like streamers.
Yeah, like Blackboy Max, like you can kind of see he's putting on a lot of both underground rappers or like R&B artists as well, and you can see that community building as well.
Yeah, like Kai Cenat.
Yeah, it seems like it's mostly hip hop that's there first though, right? Like, can you imagine like a country artist trying to work their stuff there, or like, would that work, do you think? Or
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them, but who knows?
like, because millions of people use Twitch, right? And so like, I'm sure many of them also like country music, right? It doesn't have to just be hip hop. So
Yeah, I feel like typically country fans and like music discovery, that goes back to like, I feel like the reason why country had this moment recently is because like everybody that listens to it, it might be more of like a late adopter in terms of technology and like apps. So like them downloading TikTok and Instagram and making that transition from like Facebook to now, which is like the main tool for music discovery. I feel like that also played a huge part in it. And yeah, I don't know if they're at the Twitch and Discord side of technology yet, but
no, that's so true though. Like hip hop fans have always been like super early adopters. Like they figured out streaming like really early, and that's why like people. I think some people were surprised that country was having such a big moment, but I was like, it was only a matter of time, right? Like hip hop was really big early because those fans were streaming music on like SoundCloud and DatPiff and all these different places. But it was only a matter of time before the country fans and the country musicians like figured it out and they moved to Spotify with everybody. So maybe country will move to Twitch as well at some point. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah. Are there other ways that you think A&R has evolved, even just in your guys' careers so far? You know, you've been doing this for, you know, several years now. Like, has it changed just in the time that you've been doing it so far?
I mean, personally, like I started off in A&R research at Columbia Records, which is how I met Abbey. So I was on the other side of kind of the A&R coin. And personally, I feel like data and research has kind of become more ingrained in, you know, music discovery and like the label system. Like, yes, I feel like you need to kind of balance both, you know, really good creative, really good music, but also like you need to kind of take into account like what is the data telling you, like how are people engaging with, you know, these artists like Instagrams or like TikToks, like is it really great engagement, are they growing consistently over time? Like I feel like those all play a huge part in that, and I feel like everybody in the industry is kind of looking towards, you know, a balance of both.
Yeah, it does. But it's interesting too because it's such a juxtaposition of what it used to be like, where A&Rs like they would sign people just based on vibes, right? They're just like, I got a good hunch about this artist, right? But now we have all these different data points where we can be like, yeah, I know you have your hunch about this artist, but like we have data to prove that like they're building an audience, or even in this community they're building a thing like that. Like, what sorts of data are you guys looking at to make those decisions?
I mean, like I said, like I look at growth. Like, are you consistently growing your followers across your accounts? Are you kind of growing in terms of consumption on your streaming, like on streaming platforms? So like your Spotify, your Apple, and stuff like that. Are people really paying attention to, you know, just one song out of your catalog that you put out, or multiple songs? Like I feel like those are all important like indicators of like where people are connecting with your music and kind of how you can go forward.
Totally. How about you, Abby? What do you think in terms of where A&R is going and stuff?
It's so crazy because I think even when I like dreamed about doing A&R, like even from that perspective to like now being in A&R, completely different. Like I remember I was talking with this producer and like he had to find a way to like give beats to like Lil Wayne, and he literally like handed him a CD. I was like, what? So I feel like literally like things have changed so much, and I think, yeah, like going back to like what Hunter said, I think it's a lot of like, you know, we like read comments, we kind of see how people are engaging, like did they like this song, like what do fans think, and I think even for me it's kind of cool to see, you know, oh, this artist worked with this person yesterday, or this artist, you know, was at this show. Like I really can see that they do care and they're putting in a lot of the work. I think that definitely speaks more volumes than other, you know?
Yeah, totally. And like obviously we talk a lot about like social media and posting and all these things, but like are there artists that you look at and that you love, and they might even have some data points about like their streaming catalogs, but they're just not active on any of these things? And like, does that, I don't know, does it make it hard to work with them, or are you less likely to, I don't know, pursue an artist like that if they feel that that's not like authentic to their brand and who they are?
Yeah, I mean, it's It's a tricky one because there's a lot of great artists that really don't like to post, and I get why it's uncomfortable. And I feel like, I think, sorry, you can go to Abby, but that's my train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know, because even like for us, like there's so many times where like, let's say, because there's so many artists, I guess they're like, oh, I wasn't going to post that video, and then they post that, and like for some odd reason it came on my For You page, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I go to like try to, email them. There's no email. I'm like, please. Then I go to their Instagram, like no email, and I DM them, and they have like whatever Instagram has that thing where you have to like invite. So like I have like one chance. So then when they open the invite, and so I feel like it's kind of like I don't know if you now thinking about it, it's kind of like a two-way thing where it's like, oh, like maybe I'll try this, and I think you have to like acknowledge that like somebody could see it, like I think it's cool that like we literally do live in this world where like you don't know who is like on the other side of the screen. Like I think it's so cool that like I will have a video of someone like singing a song they just like wrote in their room, and like the lyrics are like I'm on the verge of tears, and I'm like, this is amazing, So I feel like it's just like so cool that like, artists can do that.
I feel like I see a lot of like TikToks where it's like day 72 of posting my music until I find my audience or something, and like it might be working because like I'm seeing it suddenly, and I'm like, oh, it sounds pretty good actually. But I'm also not an A&R. So. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a great tool and it's free. Like, why not use the platform to kind of boost your music? Like, you want to perform for thousands of people, you want to sell out at stadiums, you want to, do the whole promo run tour with, top level artists. Like, I feel like that's the best way to do it right now, because we are in an age of technology, and like there's an oversaturation of music. Like, there's hundreds of thousands of records being uploaded to Spotify each day, which is crazy. And as A&Rs, like there's only so many of us. So like sifting through that level of music, like the best way to do it is to use this free platform and really just like kind of take the reins. And like I said, like I know it's uncomfortable to post, but I think there are very unique ways to do it. Like if you don't want to show your face, like you could do like TikTok slides. Like I've seen, for example, like Malcolm Todd, like he essentially used pictures of like Steve Lacy and Tyler the Creator, and then on the next slide he would put the lyrics of his own song or like a picture of himself to kind of sprinkle in his own identity as he was like teasing his music. Like I feel like there's very unique ways to really showcase people that haven't discovered you yet. And
yeah, I love me a good like aesthetic, with like the city lights, the skyline, the driving in the car with like the lyrics. Like literally you can do whatever.
It feels very specific, and like this is the vibe that you're curating.
I'm like, my algorithm understood.
It knows you, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. I think back of like, I don't know, during the pandemic and when TikTok was like, everyone was bored and they were swiping through TikTok and artists were first breaking out like on that platform. Like it seemed like a lot of labels, signed these artists because they had these songs that were going viral like on there. And that trend, it seems like it created a lot of random hits by artists that no one knew about, but it didn't really create stars out of those artists. Like, I don't know, I think there's a bunch of songs from them where I'm like, whatever happened to that artist or something? Like when you're now, signing artists and you're researching these people, like, are you looking for more than just like a viral song that they have on TikTok? Are you also interested in like, what does your catalog of unreleased music look like? Like, do you have these chops behind the scenes that like the public doesn't know about, but you can share with me or something?
Yeah, I mean, personally, obviously, like, I want to see kind of you're engaging with, your fans on Instagram and TikTok, no matter how small it is. And also, I definitely want to hear, unreleased demos and see kind of where your vision is headed. And, like, even, like, the creative, like, are you creating an aesthetic on these platforms that really kind of showcase what you're aiming for? And how are you differentiating yourself from other artists? Like, for example, like, I don't even know why it came into my head, but Lil Nas X, like, if you wanna basically make music influenced by him, like, I feel like you need to not do that, and like I feel like you're kind of behind. Like you're probably a few years behind in terms of, you know, the music and sonically like where you should be heading. Like I think there's a way to, you know, take your influences and like innovate, but you also don't want to be the same as well.
Yeah, like probably trying to do something a little different and, you know, just have, or like, I don't know, try to pursue this as a career and not just like a moment you're creating, right?
Yeah, and I feel like too, I would say Hunter probably same, but I feel like it's like one thing because obviously like we're only seeing the surface level of like, you know, you like playing your guitar, singing, cool, great, but like at least for me, it's like I want to know who you are as a person. Like, do you take this seriously? Like, are you gonna be in the studio? Are you gonna be working? Or like, are you going to, you know, not care? So I feel like that's a big thing for me, and that's why going back to the like, oh, like I couldn't find their email. It's like I want to talk to you. I want to see, you know, I still care about the vibe. So it's like I feel like that's still so important as an artist.
That's probably something good to remember is that like for new artists, like these are relationships you're forming and like serious ones, right? Someone that's what you want to help nurture your career and like grow with. Like you want to have a positive relationship with them and make it, you know, kind of copacetic,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like even like with like major labels or like any sort of deal, I feel like it's kind of responsibility on both ends. Like, yes, as an A&R and all these other departments that are supporting you, like marketing or promo, like we have a duty to kind of, you know, amplify your music and your vision, but also on the same front, like as an artist, like you need to put in the work and you want this probably more than any of us all combined, or it's, yeah, I feel like it's just a mutual, like symbiotic relationship that needs to work for it to be successful.
Yeah, and I feel like at least like on the A&R front, I feel like we're kind of the cheerleaders like in the building for the artist. So it's kind of like we, you know, start off that good relationship at the beginning to then go back to the label and be like, this is why you guys need to listen. Like they're like, this is why we want them, and like this is why you should care too. Yeah.
I always find it fun when like, you know, sometimes there are moments like Lil Nas X when he was starting his career where like these artists are like breaking out and they have no history before and like we're all discovering them at the same time. But I think there are a lot of instances where like by the time me and other people in the media know about them, you guys have been working with them for months or even some cases like years, right? Like how long, I don't know, just in your experience, does it typically take for them to maybe start seeing their like success and like the fruits of their labor in like whatever sense that might mean, you know?
I personally think it takes years. Artist development takes time, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Like, yes, you might catch, you know, a viral record, but I feel like that's not going to make a career. You need, the pressure's on. After you make that hit record, you're going to have to create another one and another one. Like, you can see that with, like, Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan. Like, everybody is all eyes on them, and I feel like that's where you really need to take the time to kind of make a singular kind of narrative around your music and kind of what you're trying to, I guess, express in your music as well.
That's so true with Chappell Roan too, where like she had a major label deal for a few years and it didn't work out. They dropped her, right? And she was working independently and then got a second chance to do it, right? So like even if it doesn't work out the first time, like it could still, there are other opportunities for it to work again.
Yeah, and I feel like it literally again goes back to like your fans and like keeping them like with you. Like I feel like you have to, like Hunter said, literally like just because you had a viral moment, that's just the beginning. Like you want to build something long term. And even like Doechii, Florida Queen, like she has been at this for so long. Even like Victoria Monet, like when they won their first Grammys, like they have been doing this for so long. And I think it just goes to show again, like, you know, when we're meeting artists and it's like, how seriously do you like take it? I feel like it's like, are you willing to keep going? Because, you know, life, like stuff happens. So I feel like those are just such like inspirational stories where it's like, we're really for like the long run, you know?
Yeah, I love the Victoria Monet ref because like she started as a songwriter, right? Like she, and obviously she was so talented this whole time, but like that's where she got her start, like writing for Ariana Grande and like bigger stars. And then she finally started to have her own moment, right? So like, I feel like there are pathways to start and maybe not as like a big headlining artist, but maybe something behind the scenes and then you work your way to the front, right?
Yep.
Are there songwriters and producers and other people like that that you are interested in signing and working with as well, or is it mostly the performers?
I mean, I would say it's at least like, I wouldn't say we would like sign producers necessarily, but I feel like there's definitely like producers that stand out. Like at least if there's like, you know, a sound that makes sense, that would like, we would pair them with like an artist in like that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I get excited about kind of like untapped, like upcoming producers and writers that we could put in sessions with like some of the artists on our roster that are creating, you know, a really innovative sound as well that complements the artist. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious too, like, you know, just as A&Rs, like music is so global now. Like we see, you know, K-pop artists in Korea, and now we're seeing a lot of like regional Mexican music with Peso Pluma, and you know, even artists in India and all over the world. Like, is it almost overwhelming that you have like the whole globe that you're trying to find artists in all these different areas? Like, how do you kind of like wrap your head around something like that? Are you, especially music in other languages, right? Like, you know,
Personally, I love it. I am a big Latin music fan girly, and even like at Columbia, we just started working with Jenny, and she's just like so cool. And like, I talk about fans so much, but literally like they are like the ground for a lot of artists. But like Jenny had like this one night at like Radio City, and like her fans were fanning, and I think just to see like that world was so cool to me. And even like Bad Bunny is like one of my favorites, and the fact that he literally like has, I don't even remember how many nights, but he has so many nights that sold out like his next like PR tour. And I feel like it's just so cool to like discover. And I think that's why we like enjoy A&R. Like it's just so cool to discover like new things. Like I think, I don't know, the other day I saw someone that did, it was like a DJ that did like saxophone jazz vibes, and I was like, who would have ever thought I would be like in my room, like, you know,
I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, like
actually.
pumping
There's an
fists
audience
to like
for that,
jazz. Yeah,
right?
literally. Like it's just, I think it's just so cool to like literally, like you could just find it all.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things. If there's an audience for it in one random country, and like people are obsessed with it, then people might love it here too, or something. Like the opportunities are endless.
Right? Yeah, I think it's really beautiful that, you know, no matter if you can quite understand what the lyrics are or what they're saying, like I feel like something can resonate with you, in whether it's, you know, an artist from India, like I know Hanuman Khan, he kind of raps in English, but like he is kind of showcasing, you know, India in a really cool light that people kind of from the North American hemisphere aren't familiar with, and it's just really amazing.
Yeah, and it like, I don't know, even the fact that we're still at Billboard talking about like this is the first like, you know, artist from India to have like a top 40 hit on the Hot 100. Like there's stories like that all the time, or like Lisa being the first, you know, artist from Korea to have like 2 top 10s or something, or sorry, from Thailand to have 2 top 10s. Like there's things like that being broken every week and all the time. There's more opportunities for that, I think. Okay, so I think we have about 10 minutes left, so maybe we'll take some audience questions. I think they're in the app. Do you guys have it as well? Okay.
Yes.
How about this? This is from Mike Figliolo. When signing an artist other than the music songwriting, what are the red, green flags for signing or not signing them?
I think the green flags, again, are great work ethic, as well as if somebody is engaging with their fans, you know, across the platforms. Like in the comments, like I'll see kind of some emerging artists that are really doing it right, and they're taking the time to respond to every comment. Like you just locked in a super fan from day one right there, and they're gonna be with you throughout the journey. As well as a red flag.
I feel like some artists just like don't care, and also I feel like, I don't know, sometimes artists do, which like literally there's no problem, but they like, you know, they just like put it on TikTok and something happened and they're just like, I'm so fine with that. Like I wouldn't say it's like a red flag, it's just like maybe it's like not the right time if we were to like sign you, you know?
Yeah, I think maybe it's about kind of their goals.
Yeah.
And like, oh, do you want to win a Grammy or not? Or like, do you want to, I don't know, be on iHeartRadio or any other event? Like it's kind of up to what roadmap you want to follow and like what your goals are. And if you don't want to do any of that, that's fine. Like, just make music for fun and as a hobby and just put people on. But like, yeah.
But like sometimes it can be like making a moment out of those releases. Like, don't just drop like your song and be like, all right, here it is. Like sometimes like I see so many artists who they tease this record like on TikTok or Instagram for weeks or months leading up to it, just hoping that like I don't know, like a certain video will take off and people get interested, and then they can be like, all right, the actual release date's going to be here. I'm still working on it, but it gets those fans excited so that by the time they do release it, it has like a big opening week because people have been amped up for it. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we've got. Abby Hunter, what are some of the most important aspects you think about when you're coming across undiscovered artists?
I don't know. I feel like, at least for me, it's usually like the visuals. I feel like now that we're in such a digital age, like I can tell if like you really did put, thought and effort and time into like just like a sick visual. I feel like that is kind of important to me. And then I don't know, like sometimes like too, like what I said before, like just lyrics that I guess like I can relate to, because literally like I will literally be in my room crying at someone's random reel that I saw because I'm like, wow, those lyrics really just touched me.
Yeah. This is true. She does that. Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on a lot of great elements that we're looking at. And I think, I guess like when discovering like artists, I would say yes, like songwriting has to be super compelling. Like, I feel like that's what grabs people's attention. That's what makes them come back for more. Like you can see it in, some of the examples that popped off this year and this past year with like Sydney Rose, like We Hug Now, or like Gigi Perez, Sailor Song. Like those lyrics really resonated with, different communities and different kind of fan bases.
I feel like that's a big trend we're seeing now too, is just like artists where there's a big emphasis on the songwriting, even the lore behind those lyrics too. Like it's very much like post Taylor Swift in a way, where like Gigi Perez and like Gracie Abrams, like that's what a lot of people, or in Phoebe Bridgers even, like a lot of people are into the lyrical,
like
stuff
Messy. That's my song.
and Messy, yeah.
Yeah, and I also think another component to like dig into for undiscovered artists is like, again, I think Abby touched on it earlier, but like what camps you're in, or like what are the artists or like producers or songwriters you're around. I feel like that's the most exciting thing to see, because like I think we all have kind of specific tastes, but like if there's somebody that I'm excited about that's a producer, say like, for example, like Conductor Williams, like anything that he works on, like I know he worked on Leon Thomas's R&B album Mutt, that's having a big moment right now. Like I just get super excited about what's next and who he's working with.
He's another artist who had a long career as a songwriter and producer beforehand, and then eventually made the switch over. Maybe that's what some people can do, is like focus on their songwriting chops behind the scenes, and then eventually do stuff on their own, right? Another question we have, this is a good one. What can fans do to help artists most in terms of promoting?
Definitely stream your music for sure. Also, a good share is good. I feel like that means a lot.
I think seeing them live too. Like I would assume some of these artists that they're interested in are sharing live dates and like
definitely
certain performances.
Like showing up is something super important, and I think it says a lot to like the artists themselves, like being there in person. Because it's just such a different, aspect, because it's like in real life, whereas, I was just watching the artist on my screen, but like even for the artists, like them being on stage and seeing like their fans in real life does mean so much. So yeah, honestly, that's probably like the best.
Yeah, I feel like the live component and like merch, especially as they're kind of getting their feet off the ground, like obviously like streaming doesn't equate to much money. So like any way you can kind of help kind of boost their career and allow them to continue to, focus on the creative. I feel like that's a really...
And also, like putting other people on, cause like
Word of mouth.
Yeah, like that's like if you're in the car and you have aux, you play that artist. You put someone else on because then they're gonna also put someone else
Or maybe
on.
also like adding them to your playlists that you
Yes.
share with your friends or something like
Yeah.
that, right? Like,
Yes.
is that actually data that you guys are able to see of like the song has been put in this many playlists on, you know, across Spotify or something like that? Because if so,
like-
that would be a good way to do it, right?
I feel like probably
I think Chartmetric does.
yeah.
But
Or just like commercial partnerships.
Yeah.
not us.
No.
Otherwise, though, I think that that would be a great way. Though, is like sharing those playlists and,
Yeah.
and putting them onto turning your friends onto them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. We might have one or two more. How's this? For artists who are less social media minded, what are ways for them to connect fans without posting daily, multiple times a day? Or multiple times a day?
Are you looking at me?
Yeah. You can go.
I mean, again, I think it goes back to like either like shows or if there's like a very unique kind of way you can give people kind of, I don't know, the back door of your life and who you are as a person and as an artist and what you're working on. Like it could be like a behind the scenes like video that you post, or like you can do like little pop-ups and meet and greets, you know, whether
Yeah.
it's at a show or not. And I feel like just really giving fans a unique experience that like obviously like there's the typical like merch and stuff like that. Like if you can think outside of the box in really unique ways to like grab people's attention, they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna be locked in.
I think, having meet and greets is a great way to do it at record stores or just local places where like you're really getting in front of those fans and like putting a face to the music in a way and like really forming that relationship with your fans, right? Because I feel like if you do that early on, then they'll follow you to your shows and for your future releases and things like that. Like, I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like I was gonna say what Hunter said. I feel like if you did like meet and greets, but also too, I mean, we talk about TikTok a lot, but there's also like so many other platforms. Like, I mean, there's a lot of artists, even we could find on like Twitter, you know? So if it's like not necessarily you like, you know, posting a video of you doing a cover, like if you're like funny on Twitter and then you like post a snippet and someone finds it, like that's sick.
Yeah, for sure. Like someone like Phoebe Bridgers is so fun. I don't know. They have there's so much personality to their tweets and their social media presence in a way where like people start to feel like they know you. Even Chappell Roan, like she was big on social as well. Like and people really felt like they knew her personality outside of just her music, right?
Yeah, I also think a great component is kind of world building and starting that off early. Like it could be like listening sessions. Like for example, there's a singer-songwriter that I really love and she's kind of all across the board in terms of her genre. But like she basically created like these intimate kind of listening sessions that she put on in different cities. And, you know, it was just like a RSVP, it was free and like you could attend. And she really just created just such a great space for, you know, like-minded fans to really interact with each other and the artist. And she was just walking around while she was playing her album, and I was like, bet.
Yeah, that's great. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know, and I feel like that's been a thing for a while. Like even like Taylor Swift, she would like I don't know in like the Tumblr era, she was like I don't know, like her fans that were on Tumblr, she would reply to comments and like engage with her fans in these communities, right? And like if you're doing that on Twitter or Instagram or even Twitch or one of these other places, like that might be the best way to do it these days.
And I think it's so cool because it's like those same fans that were in your like 10-person like listening session are going to be the same ones like buying tickets to like your arena show, you know?
VIP.
Yeah. I think that might be time for us. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And yeah, all right.
Thank you.